Hi, welcome back. This is my first match review of Broken Arrow now that the game's released. I've been playing a ton of this game, just an absolute ton of it since it came out. A lot of good matches, some bad ones, and I've been just working on improving and getting better. I've got a lot of decks built, and today I'm going to be using one that come with that I didn't use before, any of the press matches, so let me unpause. Now that the game is out, there's like map voting. This is like I solo queue, so this is just solo queue matchmaking. It was the choice between Baltise, Meandering River, and the Dam. And I think I could have gone for some Baltise, but we went to the Dam. So once I saw that we were going to the Dam, I was like, alright, I need to play a deck I've made, I think yesterday, or played a few rounds of, and I've been liking it so far, which is SOF plus Marines. It has a rather noticeable deficiency in that its support tab, it doesn't have any long-range artillery, only the mortars, and no long-range AA either, so you have no long-range support options. But, that said, it's got very good woods fighting ability, and, you know, other places as well, but very good at woods fighting because of all of the really good fighting recon, all the really good infantry options. It's got good air support as well, which is nice. And, you know, this is Dam, so as soon as I get on Dam, there's really one place I want to go, which is the woods in the center. So, back in the day, in the old beta, when I used to play on the Dam, I used to be scared of the woods. I didn't really get how to forest fight yet. But then I kind of had a match or two, where I just had, like, one good match, where I was just like, I'm just going to fill the woods with Marines, and smalls and stuff like that. And it worked really well, and it was on that day that I learned how to fight in woods. Before then I was like, oh, infantry die too quick if they're not in buildings, but it's not really the case, because woods are actually better than buildings for infantry. Infantry die everywhere when they're outranged or outmuscled by vehicles, but woods are the one place where it's like its own dimension. I call it the woods dimension. It's like you're fighting in green fog, because no fight is really going beyond 100 meters in the woods. You just don't have that kind of visibility. So infantry just get to dominate there. Like, you don't have the cover bonus of being in buildings, but you have to work around that by seeing vehicles first and shooting vehicles first, and getting good flanks and stuff, having good recon, and just basically getting those ambushes all the time. It's a ambush dimension as well. It's all about getting those first shots. And, you know, done right, the enemy either has to just artillery and airstrike the shit out of you to get rid of you, or they have to play their own infantry woods game against you, right? With vehicle support, vehicles are still useful. We'll see that here. So I start up here with a couple of DAPs and a Raptor. Now, I'm still getting used to a lot in this game. I'm still pretty new to it myself at this point, or at least in release terms. I've got like 200 hours in it before release, but... So I'm not that new, sorry, that's kind of a lie. But I am new to using a lot of the tools still, specifically in the new decks, or new specs as well. The Raptor... I find it hard to get a lot of value out of it sometimes, though to be fair here, we're really outmatched in the air attacks. There's 4 jets of ours versus like, what, 8 of theirs? It's kind of hard to track if I'm getting good value out of the long-range missiles right now. I was doing okay standing off, but now that I'm the last jet standing, I do go down. Unfortunately, losing the air attacks, losing the air war means now that their jets can pick off my helicopters, I deploy my DAP Hawk, but it's too late. It gets finished off by the gun run from the flanker there. But that one doesn't seem to be coming back around for me. So I can at least with my other DAP get in here and deploy my special tactics team. This is a very stinger-heavy opening for me. Losing both the Raptor and then the DAP with the SCT in it is bad, of course, to start with. Not a good start. Lose a lot of points. But it was a bit of a brawl of an air battle. I mean, it's probably good that I tried to commit with the Raptor there. It's good and bad, right? I'm not going to cope and say, oh, it was good that I died. But there's pros and cons, right? Like, I could have probably run off and saved the Raptor and saved those points. But we also managed to, even if we don't win the air battle, we kind of chase them off. They run away, they're out of missiles. And if we hadn't committed enough there, I see a lot of helicopters from my team on the left too. They might have cleaned up all our helo transports. So I guess it works out. It covers our air insertion, which the whole team is doing. So I guess it's good there. And the pilot does eject from the Raptor, so we can get them out and get them home for more points, get some money back. Enemies doing a cargo drop on the right. You might notice that the enemies are all different colors. That's a custom setting. If you haven't caught my video I just did before this one, you can go into your gameplay settings, go down the bottom of them, and do custom colors. And I've set all my enemies up to be very distinct colors from each other, so I can tell when I'm being outnumbered by players, rather than by default, everyone is just red, and you can't tell the difference. So it's a cool feature. Thanks again to the Steel Balalaika, to the devs, for putting that feature in. Lets me see. Okay, red's airdropping over there. But, you know, where's everyone else? That little bird picks up the pilot. I wasn't sure if the little bird could get him out of the water there, so I called in an LAV, an amphibious transport, to get him as well. We didn't need him in the end, so I can send a lav home or just move it up to be useful on its own. Special tactics team here caps the point, and then we hit the sprint to get out of there before the blind fire artillery punishes us for being on the point. The enemy doesn't see us, they see someone capping and they're like, no, don't do that. SOF has the best recon tab in the game. They're so good. I love their options. I love that you can bring in STTs, a unit that is both quite a good Stinger team, as well as being quite a good infantry fighting team, as long as you keep them at long range. They don't do well close, but they're great at long range. And then also a great recon and stealthy unit. They've really got it all. They've even got a laser designator. They've really got everything. Very good when you're trying to deploy a lot of shit flexibly at the start of a match, but you haven't got the points for everything at once. Very good to have units that can do a bunch of roles like that, wear a lot of hats in this phase 1 and the skirmish phase, if you want to call it that. But I know that, you know, because I deployed them because I want to stop the enemy from rolling at helicopters of their own, but they didn't do that in the end. They come in a bit amphibious, I think, across the river. And I'm fighting the pink player mainly here, Jake. They've got a recon BRM there, which is good. Bring your recon to farm my infantry in the woods. But the point being, I know that these recon teams, especially SCT who don't have any AT, I know they're not going to cut it for good. So, up in the top left, I've been calling in new units. I'm calling in some muscle, calling in some more now. Amtraks, AAVPs. And they've got a combo of Marines and Rangers Aurors inside them. Rangers Aurors are our premier AT. You can see I've got a lot of players here. I can pay attention to more now that I'm not in the match. I just played this match an hour ago. But I can see, like, okay, I got red on the right on B point with Gorna Strelki, which are a light kind of crappy infantry unit, I think. I'm still learning the Russian units. Orange has got a tank over on the left. And then my main adversary here is still going to be pink, Jake. The pink player is bringing in some really heavy armor to deal with. That's a Barbarous there. And I'm sure anyone who's played this game doesn't need to be explained how dangerous they are, but if you're not really into this game much, you just like to watch it or whatever. Barbarous is essentially a tank that's had its turret taken off to be turned into an IFV. And then, so it's like an APC IFV with like super heavy tank level armor. And it's got a couple of ATGMs to fight enemy tanks with, and then it's got very heavy autocannons. And that's danger, danger. It'll do a pretty reasonable job of chewing me up if I don't engage it correctly, so I've got to watch out for that. It's quite expensive, 290 points. It's a high-level threat. We need to take care of it. So you take it back to C point. I'm not worried about holding the point right now. I know I don't have enough on the ground. I've fallen back my STTs, you might have seen. On the left and right there, hit the sprint I think I did, and I just got out of there because I could see that, okay, the enemy isn't deploying heliborne infantry, they're not deploying infantry at all, they're deploying a bunch of armor like the Recon BMP, and now we see the Barbarouses. So I know, my STTs do nothing, staying there. Oop, little microfight here. My LAV with the autocannon, Lav Gaming, coming in against this Recon BMP. Did you know that autocannons have a minimum range? So if you micro in and out here, I can get some shots off. I think my autocannon has less minimum range than theirs too. I can get some shots off while they can't, and I can kind of back in, back out. Looks like the Lav does have a smaller minimum range than the BMP. Unfortunately, after its great success, it gets finished off by like an ATGM and some infantry to the right, just in front of the B point, or the B zone. But until then, the Lav was having a great little 1v1 there. That minimum range is something that you can exploit a lot with units in this game, especially ATGM teams, like any kind of weapons team that has like a long range, like grenade launchers, ATGMs, a lot of stuff like that. It'll all have a minimum range. You'll see it on the stat card. And in these woods fights where you're so close, but you're not, there's no buildings to get in, You can do it with buildings too. If you like get inside a building of an enemy team that has weapons teams, you can basically turn those weapons off against you because they can't use them against you too close. But in the woods, you can really exploit that. Just like sprint on top of weapons teams and stuff so that they can't get you. Can really make the difference. Call in a little airstrike here. F-35A. I've got a 2,000-pound bomb and 1 seed missile. You can kind of see the value of it here. 2,000-pound bomb doesn't do too much there. But you can kind of see the value because if the F-35 didn't have that harm, both of those missiles from the AA across the dam there would have been aimed at the F-35. But the harm, the goal of it there is to distract, not to actually kill the AA. It's suppression of enemy air defenses, not destruction. And it does its job there. Otherwise, one of those missiles would have been straight onto me, which worsens my chances of getting out, right? The 2,000-pound bomb wasn't quite on target on the tank because the tank ran away. If the tank had sat still, I think we might have killed it with a 2,000-pound bomb to the roof. But even with the laser, it gets away, but we still do a little bit of damage to it. It has to go heal now. So it's not a terrible outcome. If I'd lost the F-35, it's bad, but we didn't. Just marking those AAs, but I don't really have the time to do it on my own right now, I think. I'm looking. I'm seeing if I get away with it, but I think I just want to finish off that tank. I'm trying to use my focus while I can here. P-52 doing a bombing run over on the left, by the way. Nice. I'm trying to use my focus while I can. Like, nothing's going on in the forest. Maybe I can do another airstrike and finish off that tank. But this is where I see Pink is pushing their tanks in, and I'm about to be in a fight. And at this point, I know I can't spare the focus to manage an airstrike, so I don't do it. This fight's interesting. I thought I could take this fight, but I kind of learned here I can't. Ugh, like it's funny, they mutual in the end. Rangers Recon trades with the BMP there. It's a really deceptive looking fight, because it looks like you can take it, because you start off strong with the burst damage of the AT-4, but then the autocannon really starts to chew you up, and the suppression kicks in, and you lose guys, and it's a really close fight. But here comes a much harder threat. Here comes the Barbs. Unfortunately there, they get straight into the Moors team first. It'd be much better if the Rangers had tanked there, but I think they know to go for the AT. Or I accidentally moved the AT up first. Now, even hurt, that Moors is still putting out damage there, but I bring in another one behind in the Amtrak to finish this Barbarous off, and we're just enclosing on it from all sides. You can see how long it takes to kill this thing if you don't get the perfect engagement on it, because it's got such strong armor. So you've really got to make sure you're flanking it. You can't just, like, deploy a bunch of AT at it and be like, oh, I've got, like, 2 AT teams, I'll kill it. Because if you're in the same direction, it will just point its front armor at you and it will eat so many shots. So you've really got to do what I was trying to do there, which is split up. Hit it either from the front or the side, or the front and the back at the same time. Just hit it from 2 different directions at once. Even if it's not, like, directly on opposite sides of it, just make sure you're not hitting it from the same side. And then we have to move instantly. You see how Pink's mortars are instantly trying to hit me there in retaliation. That's why the minute I kill that thing, I hit the sprint, I get the fuck out of there. Because I know it's with every unit in this game. You don't just shoot and scoot with artillery. It's really important with artillery, but ideally you shoot and scoot with everything in this game. You never want to stay in a position where the enemy knows where you are in most situations, because that's when you get artillery, that's when you're going to get bombed. Have an engagement, micro it, and then get out of there after you're done. And sometimes you can't run as quickly as you'd like these Marines, obviously. We're not going to be able to run away. Oh, I don't know what I killed up there. I saw a pink skull up to the north. Marines and Rolls killed something. But now we have to deal with Maroon is pushing in here. Also, Pink slipped a grenade launcher through, and it's hitting my backline. Uh-oh. But, Maroon slipped through some, what are those, Sturmovikis? I don't remember what their capabilities are. I think they're just kind of grunty. With, like, some light AT that's useful against enemy infantry, like engineer, like HE rockets. I bring that STT team up from where they were sitting to come and help with that fight, because I see it coming, and it does help out. They're going to end up cleaning that fight up, I think. Yeah, those Sturmovikis must have an HE rocket, because you can see they suddenly just hit the STTs for like half their health. Whoa, was that friendly fire? I'm not sure. I feel like a Russian artillery just finished off that Sturmoviki, but maybe it was friendly. I wasn't paying attention. Okay, now that's bad. So I sent those Raws and Marines over to the B point, thinking like, oh, I've killed a bunch of shit here, maybe I can go take the B point. Of course, I've forgotten that I'm fighting like 3 players worth of shit, so I haven't actually killed that much stuff. Like, they've still got a lot of activity in these woods. So these guys kind of go ridgeline too far here. Because they run into that another Terminator, or not even a Barbs, a Terminator, and if the Moz was full health, we could take this, but seeing as where the Moz is already basically dead, it's going to be tough. Still, the Moz has lost aggro now. So now that the Marines are tanking, the Moz can sit there and... Nice job on 1 HP. Get its rockets in and kill the Terminator. That's a big pickup. But then there's another Terminator. These things are like 190 cost. They're kind of like the Barbarous in that they have that very heavy tank armor. But they're not like the Barbarous in that rather than being an APC, they're an infantry killing machine. They have like twin automatic grenade launchers. And like machine guns and autocannons. They have like 6 weapons that kill infantry, I think. They're the most ridiculous thing. They're just like built to eat infantry. So I'm pretty happy to get away with killing one of them there. And then I'm going to try to get that Moz out. But the Terminator's in pursuit, so I don't know if we'll get away. Very scary things to meet in the woods, but just like anything, they can be killed with the right units in the right micro. Now in this case I'm worrying about them, but you can see Pink's actually moved their mortars up too. No, I made a choice here to try and engage him with my mortars and stay silent with the recon team instead. Hindsight will prove that this was wrong, though, because in the end, I think they spotted my recon unit there anyway, but the idea was I wanted to keep the scout there and just kill them with the mortars. But also, I'm not very familiar with mortars yet, and as you can see, the mortars don't really do enough to kill any of them. Whereas if I just run that Rangers recon team up 40 meters on sprint, I probably could have killed them all. You can see me considering it. I probably could have killed them all while they were sitting still there in an ambush with my 4 AT4s. Probably would have been like 2 AT4s for one, 2 AT4s for the other. So I would have used all 4 rocket launchers, but I would have killed them both. But you know, you live and learn. I'm still learning a lot of the unit matchups, how to play these kinds of situations. Next time, I would definitely take that gift there of, you know, have a really awesome ambush with the Rangers recon and take those mortars out. But I thought my mortars would actually like do more, maybe kill them. But that's not really their job. These mortars are really more here to suppress and kill enemy infantry and provide smoke. Now I can see, thanks to my recon, even more problems coming for me. 2 more Terminators. So, this player, Pink, who, again, is I think my main adversary here for the C point, for the woods here. They're looking like they don't want to play infantry against me. They want to go max out on the vehicles. Their guard's armored. They want to spam that shit. As you can see, they did know about my Rangers recon there, or they guessed that I had recon there because of how I mortared their mortars before they fired. Which a smart player can then realize, oh, you know, they see me, where are they? But either way, I start falling back the Rangers recon immediately, and I lay down some smoke to get them away so they have a way to escape from the Terminators. Unfortunately, somehow a Terminator has slipped through completely. I think in hindsight, they probably drove down that road to the left, because they try to do that again later. I don't really have anything watching that road, so that's something I should have thought about for next time. Something I should think about for next time I play this point is stick something just watching that road. Because I reckon that Termi just ran it down the road there and flanked me. So that's an issue for me to deal with now. Not expected. And that's woods too, you know. The low visibility works both ways. Unless you've got a pretty set up net of recon, you can definitely get surprise like this. Watch this, I bring in 3 F-35s at once. Each of the F-35s has a harm, so I figure the more I bring in at once, the more the survivability is. That's a good target there to get those smirches. We nail those with the first one. And the F-35... J-Cells in the second one, but look at this one! This is a micro mistake. They were all meant to be queued up to return to base, but I think this one got its orders to target too late. However, I just dumped the flares, and I think because the harms were helping there, boy, we get away with it. I honestly probably dumped too many flares, because I didn't have any flares for the way out there to get over all the SHORAD. I go high altitude for a brief second at the end there, so that I can try and outclimb any missiles that are, any SHORAD missiles that are running after me. We're very lucky to get that F-35 away. That's a blessed F-35. Incredibly blessed. Crazy. Now you can see I've got both Pink and Morph here, I guess. Was that Morph's Terminators in the first place? Did I miscall that? That was Pink's Terminators there on C? Maybe. Well, anyway, Mauve Maroon there's got some. But you can see Pink's bringing a Barbarous down my left side. A little bit of air support from my teammate there, which is nice. And Pink's pushing a Recon BMP through, which is a great counter to sneaky Recon infantry in the woods. They can actually spot it first. Well, not spot it first, but spot it much better. And I tried to run the SCTs again, but oh my god, Terminator. No, it was Pink's Terminators too. Oh my god, no, Terminator. STT's caught between two very bad places there. But I brought in a tank because I've recognized how hard the enemy is going on me with armor at this point. Like, they're just pushing their Terminators up. And that's why I brought in my FEP trophy here. Because at the end of the day, you can do a lot of fun shit with AT against these things. Like, there we go, Rangers Recon makes contact and then the Moors hits it in the ass. But ultimately, it really helps to have your own armor when they're being this hard on vehicles. Because a FEP trophy counters the Barbarous so easily, if with a little bit of smoke micro. Unfortunately, I'm going to lose that Moors team. They're not going to get away, so I just leave them to fight. They haven't got their sprint, I think. You're going to take losses. These things are tough to deal with. And because I'm taking losses, I go, okay, while I've got a brief minute here, I need to bring in more units. Focus and mental attention is such a resource in this game, and I know as I'm about to get into more fights here with them pushing me, I'm not going to have time in a second, so I try to call in some more reinforcements now before I forget. Because I know it's about to get pretty intense here. I'm trying to push up with my Recon in front of my tank. I don't want to send my tank in blind, but I kind of have to make do of what I can get away with here. Because I know I need to, I mean, I probably didn't need to push up here. I probably could have waited until my second Recon was up closer on the right to provide a better screen. In the end, it's a little bit rough here because I lose my left Recon to their Recon BMPs, which are doing so much for them. And then my trophy nearly gets killed because it gets into an ambush of a Terminator on its front and a Barbarous on its right. And then I got two Terminators on the right as well. Moors here. I tried to get out of the way, but not quick enough. Moors team and a Rangers Recon kills one of the Terminators, which is a great job from them. I'm falling back, though, because I've lost my Moors teams. So my infantry, I haven't really got enough launchers and enough AT power to take these super heavy things on without some, you know, luck and good micro. And I'm falling back the Abrams as well, because it's taken quarter damage. I don't want to fight there. Want to get that thing out of there. It's an expensive tank, and it's very pivotal to my defense right now. So we fall back. No reason to push it right here. And we're going to go resupply, but they're going deep. That Termie's pushing all the way to here. It's going to unfortunately spot my supplies there because they were on the edge of the tree line. So that puts paid to my idea of resupplying my tank anytime soon. And then my Rangers Recon up north, who were looking around, they accidentally stumble into supply dump. Was that my supply dump originally? I can't remember that they stole. I think it was. Anyway, that all of their, all of Pink's Termies and shit are resupplying on. So I go for a quick reaction here. I call in an F-35 with JSOW, cluster anti-tank munition. And I'm hoping that they're a little bit slow on the draw, and I get this cluster off on them. I'm not sure at the end of the day. So I don't get any skulls. So I think they might have moved away, but I can't worry about it anymore for right now because I'm getting ambushed by an autocannon to my left, so I'm going to immediately press the R key in reverse to point my armor towards that tank while making some distance, that Terminator. And my ally there playing, I think it's Strikers, or is it Airborne Weapons Squad, who's got like a Javelin team behind me on the zone. They helped me out a lot there. I think I could have taken the fight on my own, but they definitely made it easier. So I appreciate that help from them. Over on the left, my Amtrak transport dies. I know that a Moors on its own is not going to do well, because we're going to be facing front armor. So I smoke and sprint, or I don't know if I sprinted, but I definitely smoke. I would have wanted the sprint. The Moors and withdraw. I'm bringing in another FEP because they're proving pretty useful here, and I've got the points. And the enemy's just so heavy on armor in these woods. So bringing another one. And I'm bringing my Marines back as well. My Marines run into the Barbie there. Unfortunately, my Moors has come too far back, because I thought the Barbie would be chasing like all the other ones have been chasing me so far. So the Marines end up fighting this thing on their own. However, the Marines end up fighting this thing on their own. So I actually fucked that up for them there, because I moved them forwards to get closer, but it was kind of useless micro. It didn't do anything. And I think it delayed their follow-up AT4 for too long. And so it let the Barbarous's protection system recharge, I think. So I kind of get them killed there. I think if I just let them keep shooting, they would have got it. But I think because their armor wasn't pointed at me yet, it was an ambush. I could have got away with it. Anyway, they're on the run now. Infantry take less damage when they're suppressed. So they're kind of like barely crawling away and surviving here. They're keeping their heads down. We're trying to get in behind them now. Morse is coming in. I'm bringing a lot of shit in to try and get these pink barbs. The Marines do die, but they've tied these guys up for long enough, and now the Morse comes in from the rear. We're getting through the protection systems. Taking that one out. And there's one more to get here. Rangers Recon blocks it from the front, starts hitting it with their AT-4s, but they're out now, so they gotta run away. Everybody jumps out of the Amtrak and sprints off of this thing, trying to get it. I don't want to let it get away! And we don't. Rangers, Moors, and Marines catches a good line of sight on them as the Barb is trying to flee uphill and catches it in the arse. I try to get everyone back in. I wish it was a bit easier to get people back in transports. Oh, but here we go. Big surprise for me here. They brought in an armada. Maybe it was to deal with my trophy I had in the woods, I guess. But they bring in an armada and they just like send it in. And at this point I was asking like, oh no, like what are you doing? There it goes, because it's heavy armored, but an armada does not have nearly the same power as a Barbarous or a Terminator to take on infantry. It's definitely there to be better against tanks and vehicles than infantry. And I didn't know what they were doing there by sending that armada in. It turns out that's what they were doing. They were rage quitting. So I actually didn't realize they left until a bit later. It's good because I was worried. I was like, oh, this is a good match so far. When I realized like later on that the enemy team was down a player, I was like, oh, have they been down a player for a long time? Was this not a fair match? I started being like, oh, I shouldn't really post this if they were like down a player the whole game. I only just noticed. That wouldn't be fair. But then I rewatched the tape and I was like, no, they rage quitted. I don't mind that. Like, we're over halfway through the match and that was a legit rage quit from just going, alright, well, we're fucked. I will take that as a victory over my opponent in the woods. We have taught this barbarous user a filthy lesson, and I appreciate doing that. I think the community at large probably appreciates that, because I know everyone hates fucking barbs. You're either a barb spammer, or you're a barb hater, I feel like, is probably like 80% of the players. And they're very strong units, and if you know how to deal with them, they will roll you over, that's the thing. So they're great at stomping newbies, and they're great at being bullies, and if you don't have the tools to deal with them, they're great at stomping you. But if you know the counters to barbs, you can deal with them. The counter to them is you've got to get on their sides. You cannot fight them from the front with AT unless you have ATGMs, then you can do whatever you want. Like javelins, whatever you want. And tanks. Tanks of your own. Just like the FEP trophies here, the M1A ones, just any tank with a lot of kinetic armor on the front, just point the front towards a barb and it cannot hurt you with that autocannon unless they hit with the ATGMs. If they hit with the ATGMs, then you're in trouble. But you've got to be on top of your smoke micro. So when you're facing the barbs and you see the missiles come out, they only get 2 of them, I think. So you get 2 smokes on most tanks. Just smoke the first one, smoke the second one. Basically just like smoke if you're at a distance, smoke and just move forward out of the smoke to shoot them immediately. Don't sit in the smoke. They'll fire the second missile, smoke again. You're just using the smoke to spoof the missiles. If you have trophy systems, you can let the trophy eat one of the missiles if you want to save a smoke for later, which could be smart, in case helicopters or something come for you. But that's it, you know, and then just shoot them with the cannon. Tanks are your #1 easiest counter to barbs, though they're more expensive, of course. But if you have a cheap tank, you don't need trophy. Like, you can do that with 240 point basic SEP or an M1A1HC from the Marines deck. Just use the smokes to punk the ATGM launches, make them both miss, and then just kill them. They can't hurt you from the front. Just say no to Barbarouses, they can't hurt you. Anyway, enough said about barbs. Now I'm pushing over to the D point. Now, given what just happened to our friend's armada, and even without giving that, but just, you know, direct comparison, it's obviously never your best idea to push a very expensive tank through the woods on its own without some recon in front of it or some kind of support. Because if you get ambushed like we ambushed that armada, and here's where I realized they were gone. I was checking, like, oh, have they been here all match? Did they have any kills, deaths? Obviously, you're going to lose a very expensive tank for nothing. But in this case, I've killed so much shit again, I feel like I've just fought them back at sea. I feel like I've broken their morale. I feel like they've thrown everything they had at me on the sea point. And I also know from a bit of recon earlier that I saw like a Shilka and a supply dump over on the left, and it smelled like backline to me. What am I doing here? What's this little airstrike? Oh, there was like tosses on the road, and I wanted to get them. I'm pre-flaring. Bomb goes in. Gets kill. Pre-flare, pre-flare, pre-flare. Keep spamming the flares manually. I had flares in the air before the missiles were launched on me, which increases my success chances, because when a flare is in the air, it lasts for 3, or is it 5 seconds? But it protects you for like that many seconds. So if you pre-flare, you're getting more math in your favor earlier. But anyway, back to the tanks. Yeah, I just felt like I could get away with it. I felt like it looked like very backline over here. I hadn't seen much pressure from my left. And in the end, I was correct. I just didn't have anything here, so it's a bit aggressive. If it didn't work, you could call it reckless, but it's aggressive and it's tempo that I get away with here because the phase is ending. And in phase 1, I might not have done it. But in phase 2, when you get +2 points for every objective you score up in the top, it's definitely worth it to grab what you can and take a little risk here and there, I think. And as I said, we do get away with it for free. There's nothing here to stop us. The front line for them was fighting me around the sea point. And now that we've kind of broken them on the sea point, they just don't have anything left. They don't have like a defensive line holding D or anything like that, you know? But ideally, I would have scouted that first. Ideally, I would have sent in some scout vehicles or had some recon infantry there already to push through, but, you know, I didn't. So I just make the call, well, let's go with good rather than perfect. Let's just go take D. And it works out. Balancing recklessness and aggressiveness and timidness and hesitation and actual good caution is an art form in this game, and you just got to get used to it. Don't be afraid to make mistakes. If you're too afraid to make mistakes in this game, you'll become a player who's very passive, very timid, very cautious, overcautious, who just sits there on his own and never really does enough. And I know this because I've been that person, and, you know, like, literally yesterday, like, it happens to me all the time. Like, I'm not saying, like, I used to be that person all the time. Like, I'm about to start my stream after I record this, and I guarantee you I'll have matches where I end up being too passive again. It's a balance. Every match you play, you got to balance it to be just right. But don't be afraid to mess it up. Now, I'm doing an organizational tactic here. I'm assigning all of my recon troops to Group 1, all of my muscles, so like bigger grunt infantry, and my tanks to Group 2. And if I had weapons teams, I'd assign them to Group 3. And the idea here isn't to be like a traditional RTS where I'm like, using these control groups to actually give orders. It's just so I can see what I've got easily, because otherwise, everything just blends into one big blue soup for me. So the goal here is to be like, okay, if I hit one, I can see they all turn white. I can see all the highlights, and I can see, okay, here's what my recon line looks like. And if I hit 2, I can go, okay, here's all my muscle. Right now, the trophy's busy over here killing some stingers we ran into, which is interesting. Probably been there since the start of the game. And then, so that's from Maroon, and then Red brings in an airdrop of like a bunch of special forces. Now, I brought in some Comanches because I was scared that my tanks on their own would get punished by helicopters, so the Comanches were here for AA. But while they're here, I was like, okay, I know the guns on the Comanches are really good for killing infantry, so I'll come in. My problem here is I didn't notice the GRU AAs. I forget that the GRUs can have AA sometimes, and especially these ones, when I moused over them, they're actually the AA loadout. Another mistake I make here is that I manually flare too much. I pre-flare for the AAs because I'm worried about it. And maybe that's not the biggest mistake, but the problem is I do it on both Comanches at once when only the front one is being targeted. So now I'm being shot at and I've got no flares left for this back Comanche, which means this next stinger that's going to come in is almost guaranteed to hit me. So I lose both the Comanches there. If I'd known, or, well, I saw them, but if I'd realized and recognized the considerable AA threat there of 2 units. I didn't even see the back unit till it was too late. 2 units of Spetsnaz GRU with stingers or with manpads. I shouldn't have sent those Comanches in. I probably wouldn't have. Because I could have killed that with other stuff. And at this point, I actually didn't send the trophy tanks in to clean them up. Because I'd probably seen it, but I hadn't really... I don't think I'd really recognized that I'd seen the name that said GRU AA. Spetsnaz GRU AA means they didn't bring any of the RPGs, I think. But I was scared of them because I was like, oh, those guys are the guys with the big heavy AT that can kill me from the front. But because those are the AA loadout crews, they didn't actually have the AT they needed to hurt me there. So I could have just ran them over with my tank, I think. I'm pretty sure. But I think like the Cherney Birdies or some unit they've got there fired some kind of AT, and I feel like one of my tanks triggered an APS charge, and I think I got scared and was like, oh, the GRU are going to kill me, so I fell back with the tanks. In the end, it's alright, because ultimately, like, it's not like those guys are going to do a lot on their own. I've got so much infantry to kill them with. The Comanches was just, I thought I could clear them up pretty easily. Which I kind of did. I mean, the Comanches did do damage at least, but I didn't need to send the Comanches in for that risk. If I'd known that there was AA there, I wouldn't have, because I can just sit back here and I'm just going to clean them up later. Well, anyway, sometimes, like, what was I just saying about don't be afraid to make mistakes? Hey, I mean, if you make mistakes, you can learn. I do like seeing how good the Comanches are in a pair against infantry, though. They really ate that drop up until they got shot down. Now, at this point, I'm consolidating my organization a bit. I'm trying to move my STT teams, my Special Tactics teams, up with their stingers. When you play the dam point on woods, it's a bit weird. It's unintuitive, but you actually want to have your stingers in the open, because you want to have them on the top of these mountains and ridges and hills, in my opinion. There's no trees there, but that's the point, is if you get on the right points in these ridges, you're high enough up that you can shoot stingers over the treetops at helicopters that come for you. Now, in the end, the enemy never really played helicopters against us here, but you definitely have to have this, because if you don't have your stinger teams, you don't have SHORAD, you're just one good idea away from the enemy just, like, swarming you with helicopters, and it only takes one time for you to not have anti-air for a helicopter blob to just eat you. And then you lose all your shit, because it takes too long to get anti-helicopter there. Once they're there, you know, you need the AA there already. It's kind of like AT in that sense. If you don't have AT when you need it, and tanks suddenly surprise you, you're just going to get rolled over. I believe they say that an infantry unit that has no AT that meets tanks is automatically overrun. That's just how it works. If you don't have the weapons to deal with them, you gotta run. So you gotta have these stingers there early. And that's why I'm trying to move them around, moving over to the ridges to the left side. To come and have my anti-air net be prepared. I've fallen my tanks back to a safe place, but I realize, let's split them up. They don't need to be together. One tank goes over to the left valley to be prepared to defend the D point. The other tank will hold here around the C point and the B point if needed. There's a huge push of vehicles coming through that dam on the right side, but it looks like they're going to handle it. And in general here, yeah, I've moved my Rangers Recon back up to a good observation point. I've kind of forgotten about those survivors of the Special Forces airdrop for Russia. They'll pop up soon enough, but I've kind of forgotten to worry about them. I guess they weren't a big threat in my head at this point. Got my mortar here. I haven't used my mortars in a while. I mean, after we killed that armada, we haven't had much fighting going on, so... fair enough, right? And you can see I also pushed my Rangers Recon up to that church in the town just north of the woods. Churches are one of the higher buildings, so you can get up in the bell tower and have good recon sightlines all around. But it's not too close to the main road there that, like, I think maybe if something drives past, I probably won't get spotted. So it's a nice place, and I can see shit across the road. It's a good recon position once I've taken the woods itself. I'm calling in a Prowler here because I'm trying to prep for a strike, so I want the Prowler here to cover my airstrike. You gotta call it in early because it's slow. But I get a little bit busy here, and I think I end up calling in my airstrike too late to really work with the Prowler. You can see the Prowler's firing now. Maybe I should experiment with having hold fire on the Prowlers and not shooting until my airstrike's ready to go in. So when it's on, the Prowler fires off 4 missiles. I mean, it actually gets one of the AAs, so it actually kills one. I mean, 4-harm Prowler is nothing to fuck with. It's a dangerous opponent. But in the end, I end up calling in the F-35, but then sending it home because they go, the missiles are already going off. It's a bit late to do a safe strike, and my teammate's handling business anywhere over there anyway. If my teammate had been in trouble, I would have kept going to the F-35 and just, you know, risked it. But considering they killed everything anyway, I wasn't needed. I just go home with the F-35, no need. Red's calling in another airdrop over here. We're trying to. If... Hey, that definitely wasn't going anywhere, I think. Pretty adventurous. Hinds are getting shot down. It looks like they're throwing everything they can at that dam on the right, and they're just... I mean, props to the Russian team, props to the enemy at this point for playing on 4v5, despite how fucked the score is. There's a lot of levers in these games, in the release week especially. So, props to anyone who's going to stick it out for a full match. Me, typically, if it's 4v5, I'll stick it out. If it's 3v5, I start to ask my team, like, hey, do you guys want to leave? And if it's 2v5, I'm just like, alright, I'm leaving. But you can win 4v5s, fuck, you can win 3v5s. If the enemy team lets you. But try not to leave your teammates in the lurch. That's why, even though I think 3v5s aren't very fun to play, if the other two don't want to leave, I don't want to leave because I don't want to leave them in the lurch. I don't want to leave them to fight on their own. Now, I'm moving the recon up on the left, but right now, take a look at this. Bit of an ambush from them where their churny birdies HE explode my Rangers recon. And then they've got Spetsnaz GRU, which are a CQB squad coming in. But I've got Rangers recon and Rangers CQB here. So, Rangers recon get suppressed, but that's kind of good for them because now they're taking less damage. So they're going to survive this fight, hopefully. I bring in the Lav and the AAV I've got waiting in the woods there for fire support on the GRU. And the Rangers can help as well. And we clean those up, no problem. The Rangers can fall back now. Back to their old position, back to their trapdoor spot. Fall back my vehicles as well. And I've queued up the Rangers recon to run away, go heal, and then move back to their position, I think. Again, don't stay in the same place because you get bombed. We've got something else to worry about here at the same time on the D point. Orange is coming in with a little tank force. They got like a recon tank, which is cute. I've got my guys on the right on hold fire because I don't want them to engage yet. We're waiting. We tank with these guys on the left so that the tanks face their armor to the left, and then we open up with the squads on the right. Now they've got side and rear armor hits, and they take that tank out easy. Whereas if they'd opened up first, they would have been facing front armor, so they wouldn't have done as well. And they would have taken some return fire from the tanks probably and been hurt a bit. But engaging this way, we get kind of a flawless ambush there. Wipes all that out in the blink of an eye. It's all about the ambushes in the woods. It's all about the ambushes and having the right timing. Fights in Broken Arrow can end very quickly. It's kind of a game where maybe not a lot happens for a long time, but then a lot happens in a very short amount of time. And you've got to be prepared to play it that way. But having the two squads of units, the two Amtraks filled with the combos of Marines and Rangers Roars there, lets us split them up. The Amtraks are really good because treaded vehicles move through woods faster than anything else. Wheeled vehicles don't move through woods very quickly. So because the Amtraks have, well, tracks, because they're not wheeled, but they have treads, they get through the woods quite fast. And they're quite a fast unit on their own for a tracked unit. So they're like the perfect transport for the woods. They just track around so fast. And they do go a bit faster than infantry walking around, as long as the infantry isn't sprinting. So it's worth having them. They're also great as an extra life. Here, there's an arena here I'm trying to help with. They're great as an extra life, too, because the way this game works with transports is if you have infantry in a transport and it gets killed, the infantry will take a bit of damage, but they'll survive. Haha, AC-130 gaming, let's go! Talk about that more in a second. My strike's a bit off here, it doesn't predict the movement well enough. The laser corrects it a little bit, but the tank just escapes the edge of the JSOW there. I don't do much. Luckily, the AC-130 finishes that off. Awesome. I love to see an AC-130 doing work. That thing is strong. If you have the Ghost Raider loadout especially, that thing will eat armor up if it's allowed to exist. Great for stopping basically what you saw there. Perfect for stopping when the enemy is pushed through away from their AA and is haunting your backline. Absolutely perfect unit there. And you can see it could have got away, it just keeps loitering. I think they forgot about it. But it doesn't die until the enemy brings in an interceptor for it here. They're very cheap too for what you get. I kind of want to fit one into my deck after having seen that. It's just so good for stopping the enemy from overrunning you, you know, that deep on a big map, I guess. Gonna be better on big maps, worse on small maps, of course, where all the AAs squash together. I bring my Raptor to try and piss this thing off, but I don't commit to go any more missiles than just the standoff poke here, because I know otherwise I'll probably get hit by enemy AA. My teammate has no such compunctions, he just goes in. Or they just go in. It looks like they get away with it too. So we get out after that. What was I saying? Amtraks, yeah. So good. So because the transport will take the damage for you and then the infantry gets away without losing too much, you can survive anything in an Amtrak. You can survive a nuke, and you frequently do, except the radiation will often finish you off afterwards. But, you know, you can survive the biggest airstrikes. It's kind of counterintuitive in that way, because I think in reality, you'd want to get out of the explosive death box. Like, if you ever played Arma, and pay attention to those red tanks coming across the road, by the way. Watch that. Across the bridge. We see that because of our Rangers Recon, so big value having that Rangers Recon there. Lets us know that this is coming ahead of time. Right now, enough about Amtrak. You get it. They're like an extra life. They're good. Right now, I'm trying to help with this arena because I've got the money and I've got a moment where I'm not fighting. I'm not really being pressured, so... I didn't see the Nighthawk bringing in its own strike, but it didn't finish it. I tried to queue this up to break left, not right, so I didn't fly over the enemy's AA. Unfortunately, the plane had other ideas, so I didn't queue it up right clearly. Does fly over most of the enemy's AA. I think it might have got shot down anyway. The pilot survives, we can get him out. I forget if I did, but I can. And then, once again, they're trying to just push tanks onto the D point. War Thunder match. Attack the D point! I've got my FEP trophy move up to actually help with this engagement. It's a good thing, too, because they brought a lot more this time. Look at that. It's a whole squad of BMPs. Trophy opens the fight. Engaging one of those tanks, taking the D point. I'm getting my Marines with smalls out. To start putting some more fire out, because the tank's already begun the engagement. 7 BMPs coming in behind these 2 tanks. Well, those tanks push the roars, but that's not going to help him live any longer. That Marine unit just gets obliterated when all 7 BMPs target them at once. It's just how it is. But the rest of us survive. It's never good to be targeted by that many enemy units at once. Luckily, their smoke really helps us here. I think if they hadn't smoked, all their BMPs can focus down my shit quicker. I was surprised there. I was like, was that friendly? But no, they've got, like, artillery right there, I guess. Because I'm a bit pushed up in the overall line. But yeah, like... the smoke probably helped me out. And I move on to the point to retake it. There's only a minute left in the match. I didn't realize at first, but there were still some of them alive in the smoke, so I wasn't dealing with it properly. I think now I realized I wasn't capping. I was like, oh, yep, there's more left. Because I'm watching there's other reds coming across that bridge as well. They're really throwing everything they have in here for the end of the match, of course. As you do when you got the money. So move in here. Trophy starts eating them up. Once we've got vision, the Maul's can help too. Here comes a whole bunch of these little wheeled things. I wasn't expecting these things to have missiles, but watch them. I wasn't really expecting them to be a threat to the tank. And they're about to be. Look at that. I barely see that in time in smoke. I would have liked to think the auto smoke would have saved me too, but I barely see that in time. To avoid just dying to like 8 missiles at once. Crazy. They fire like 1, then a second one. That's really powerful. I smoked twice because I see the Hinds coming. I'm like, oh, I gotta make sure this tank survives to finish capping no matter what. The Hinds do come in, though, and the Maulers can shoot them down with their rocket launchers, and just everything we've got here, we can shoot them with our guns. And that's the end of the match. Ever since we killed that Armada, they got pretty sleepy on us in the woods, but at the end there, I mean, you gotta try something. They tried it, but it was not their match. And it was a match for us. We did pretty damn well. I've been thinking, like, because I haven't had much time that I've been spending making YouTube content, as I'm sure you know if you've been waiting for it, sorry, because I've been streaming so much. Every day I've been streaming, you know, like, really long streams. I just playing it all day. And that doesn't leave much time for recording, because I can't record in the quality I want and stream at the same time. Just have a look at the kills losses here while I have a look at some of those trades. And so I've been thinking, like, oh, when I do get the time to record, like, I've also been thinking, like, do I, you know, I think I cherry pick some of my better matches at first so I can show people, like, how to play more, rather than, I don't want to always just cherry pick and only show the times where I win or do well, because I think that's not good for many reasons. But at least to start with, I knew I was probably going to, like, cherry pick a better one, but I got lucky here, because the first one I recorded this morning for YouTube, I was blessed. It turned out very well for me. So, thank you to the gods. Thank you to my boy Kuma for blessing me. Thank you. Thank you for a good first match. Because I'm right on the clock here, and I'm going to finish recording this and go to my stream right after this. I think just Recon having a good time, Marines having a good time, all of those tank kills in the woods, right? FEP having fun. And then the Rangers Maws. I mean, that's what you want to see from your Rangers Maws teams, right? It's exactly what you want to see. Stay out of my woods. We are park rangers. We are forest rangers. Do not come here. You are not welcome. You go to the losses. Their Termies definitely had some good value too. Like, don't get me wrong. I think at least their Termies tended to neutral out because even though we killed them, they only cost 190. Like, they actually don't cost that much for what they do. So a lot of their Termies got good value or neutral, I think. Or at least some of them. I mean, we killed a lot of Termies, I think. We killed like 6 or 8 of them. But definitely some of them, especially when they broke through my lines, and especially early on, they got a bunch of stuff, as you can see here. But, yeah, I mean, you see 4 of them here eating pretty good. Like I said, at least they're neutral and are doing better for their cost. But, even though cost for cost, they were eating pretty well against us just purely mathematically, of course the game isn't just about what's on paper. What mattered, of course, is that we had more stuff to back up after these units died. And, you know, we killed their stuff and they didn't have anything else. If they brought some infantry of these vehicles, just some dismounts, because the Barbaruses are APCs too. If they just brought some dismounts in those Barbaruses, I would have been in a lot more trouble. Because it usually exhausted a lot of my power to handle this shit. Especially if they brought some dismounted infantry of AT to kill my FEP trophy. I think I would have struggled to deal with them on the woods much more. So I'm glad they didn't. And I thought it was a good match to show, because, well, I say that like I have more than one recorded. This is the only one. It's a good match to show because it's the only one I've recorded right now. But also, I like that it's a good match to show, I should say, because I think people are commonly asking, how do you deal with Barbs? How do you deal with the super heavy guards armored Russian units? There you go. That's how. If you're in a wood, that's how. I still gotta, you know, I guess do a match of doing that in towns, because towns are very different to woods. But, you know, that's how. You need to flank them. You need to hit them with the right units. You need to bring in units that can survive their shit. And that's how you do it. You eat them. You eat them up with rocket launchers, and you do your best. But they're tough units, even if you know what to do against them. Don't feel bad if they ever overwhelm you, because that's really what they do. They are bullies. They will overwhelm the crap out of you. They will pressure you. They will stress you. They will break through the places they shouldn't be. They will use that advantage of being so fast and so armored. And, you know, played right, they're a very effective unit. Just because they're good at stomping newbies and just because they're good bullies doesn't mean they're only good at those things. They're still good in the hands of a great player. They're even better than, you know, they're just very good units. But I like that match. Felt happy to get that one in the tin to upload. Hope you enjoyed watching it. Marines SOF. That lack of support tab would have hurt me a lot more if my teammates weren't covering the Patriots. Like the AA and the artillery a bit for me as well, I guess. Definitely make sure you at least have the LavM... sorry, not LavM. Yeah, the LavM Dragonfires or the LavMs. Have some kind of artillery. But in a match... You know, that match could have been very different if my teammates hadn't held up their sides. I would have struggled because I would have just got out-artilleried and pummeled probably, and I would have get jet-bombed. They never use jets against me much. So props to my team for doing a great job on the other sides. Obviously, we won as a team. Like, you don't go 25-1 without your team also winning on their side, so great job to them. But, you know, it's a fun match as a result for me. I get to play with a team that worked well with me, and I get to have a lot of fun doing one of my favorite things, which is playing infantry heavy, and especially infantry heavy in the woods is like their best place to be, in my opinion, their best home. So, a lot of fun. Anyway, like I said, I'm going to go start my stream, like, literally right now. So, if you do want to watch it, the link is in the description. Twitch.tv/BeagsandJam. So I'm going to end this about now. I will try to do more YouTube content. I'm sorry that it was kind of like a dead channel for the first, you know, Vanguard Early Access. I want to do a blend of the tutorial and guides like I did with the Turn Your Colors feature on video, and a blend of match reviews like this, and maybe even some live commentary matches if people want to see that. Like, I do want to take the newbie deck I made, Crayons, which I've updated now, because you have to. Because the points changed. But I do want to take that, update it again a bit more, and then do another video being like, okay, here's how I play it on release, and here's how you actually play the deck for new players. I want to focus on helping new players right now. I don't want to just be like, oh, here's a cool match of me being the best. Whoa. Like, I would like to ideally be putting out YouTube content that is helping new players get into the game, because it can be a really hard game to get into. So, but it's really fun once you do. So that's what I'll try to keep doing. I'll try to do at least a video every couple of days, if not, you know, ideally one a day, but I'll try to do one every couple of days. And I'll try not to go too dead, which just means I need to end my streams a bit earlier, or maybe I'll even take a day off streaming in one of the days coming, and I'll just do YouTube all day and try to get a bunch out, because I got a lot of decks. I got a lot of the decks that I want to play. So, yeah. I will catch you in the next one. I've got no more to say. I'm going to go play and stream. Thanks for being here. Let me know your thoughts. Oh, I guess I should say, what did I do good? What could I do better? Because that's what I've been doing after every stream match. So let's end these matches the same way, a bit more focusedly. I kind of do it already, but what could I have done better there, and what did I do well? I think I did a good blend. Let's start with the good. I did a good blend of having good presence in the woods without clustering so much that like artillery would have killed everything at once. You know, a nuke probably would have fucked me up, but a nuke will always fuck you up. I've learned from some failures in the past days, and I brought in a tank to actually help rather than just stubbornly doing only infantry. Playing only infantry is very hard. Infantry combined arms with a bit of tank support can do so much more for you. You need something that can take a hit sometimes and can just kill units, like Barbs is on their own. I had good shard coverage of the SCTs. I brought in my mortars, and I used them where they were relevant reasonably enough. I even used some smoke, so that was good. Typically had decent recon, though it was a bit hard against the tanks, so, you know, not the best, but I typically use my recon, I guess, reasonably. I was aggressive and took the chance to push up on D and take that and push ahead while we were winning and just win more, so I think that was good. And I kept pretty up to date. I didn't get lost in micro, and I kept up to date on bringing in new reinforcements, which I sorely needed, so I was lucky I did. And I picked my zone. I went to the area on the map, which my deck was built for, of course, or which my deck is good at. On the cons, on the bad side, jets, I made some mistakes with micro of F-35s, and maybe not the F-22, that was kind of a choice, I guess, but, you know, I got the F-22 killed at the start, which wasn't good. Maybe I needed to stop my helicopters earlier when I saw we weren't winning the air war. So maybe, you know, getting that DAP kill was also bad. Fucked up with the F-35 bomb drop on the right, but that's just micro mistakes. What are the bigger mistakes? I'm not taking the ambush of the Rangers recon on the mortars. Maybe, like, not being more aggressive in my recon towards where the mortars were, but I mean, I just got tied up with the pressure from the enemy armor at that point, so I don't know, maybe bringing in the tank a little bit earlier. That's actually a big strategic mistake I made. A big strategic mistake I made was when I sent the Marines and Moors to the right on their own on a Narnia trip. And it's like, oh, I'll take that point. It's like, no, you won't. And it's phase 1. The point isn't worth that much. I should have kept them with my forces where they would have been stronger together in a combined group. So we'll call that we'll call that one of the mistakes as well. Other than that, though, there's probably other bigger mistakes I made, but they weren't really punished by the enemy too hard. Or losing the Comanches too. There isn't really like one major fuck up in this game I think I can point to. Just a lot of smaller ones to work on. But overall, I was happy with my performance. So yeah, have a good one. Because I wanted to throw that at the end there, so it was a bit awkwardly paced in. But have a good one. I'm gonna go stream, and I'll catch you in the next video. Hope you enjoyed this. Let me know your comments as always, and thanks for being here. Have a good one. Good luck in your matches, and any questions you have, please feel free to put them in the comments, or come to my stream and you can ask me, and if I'm in a match, I might not see you because I'll be busy microwaving and shit. But in between matches, ask me whatever you want. I will always try to reply. Thank you very much. Have a good one. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.